It's the people. It's always the people. We're proving every day that disability is not a barrier to a great career. It's actually an opportunity. Partnering with a social enterprise is not charity. It's a commercial decision. You get reliability, you get commitment, you get people who genuinely want to be there and take great pride in their work. That's not something you can engineer through a KPI system.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to This Week in Logistics. Thanks for joining me this week. We have a special guest to close out season one, and we want it to be a story that really captures something bigger than just a market update. And the special guest, Sharon from Hone today, has a story that does exactly that. Now, before we get into what you do today, Sharon, I'd love to go right back to the beginning. And if you could maybe introduce yourself, what you do at Hone, and maybe give us a little bit of a background around where Hone started.
Yeah, so I'm the operations manager here at Hone. We were originally known as Hoxton Industries, but we had a name change and a rebrand a few months ago. We originally did start out with repairing bikes in the local community. And from there, we've moved into production, point of sales, destruction, 3PL. Each step we've had has been driven by a simple question: where can we find more meaningful work for our people? So the candle and home fragrance business we also have, named Lumiere, came from that same instinct and that same drive. Our people had the skills and the capacity to make beautiful products and to do meaningful work. So we built a business around that idea. And growth has always followed purpose, not the other way around. So we continue growing every day.
That's amazing, and one of the amazing things about my role is I've seen such a diverse mix of companies that have either got into third party logistics through any number of channels. And look, starting from bike repairs, that's a long way to a multi service 3PL model in 2026. Can you maybe walk us through maybe the key moments when Hone started to grow into something bigger and how that journey kind of unfolded?
Well, when we realized that we had actually got a market in the local area to be able to provide meaningful work, it just developed rapidly from there. It's what started off with just a few people and members of the board and some parents ended up becoming a full blown company, which you see today.
Amazing. And for people who maybe haven't heard of Hoxton or Hone, what is when you talk about meaningful work, and I guess like what the scale of the services and the people involved in? Can you maybe help paint a picture of what that looks like today as we sort of sit here in June 26?
Yeah, absolutely. Today we have around 200 supported employees across multiple sites in Southwest Sydney. And we also have sites over in Victoria as well. So we run destruction, packaging, point of sale, return and earn sites, and also Lumiere and 3PL. With Lumiere, it's our own candle and home fragrance brand, like I said earlier. And it's made entirely by our people from start to finish, including also the marketing of the items at our pop up stores. So one of the things I'm most proudest of is that people can rotate between the different business units. Someone might start off in packaging, move into production, try Lumiere, try 3PL. They're not locked into anything. And it means that they're always learning, always growing, and always contributing to different parts of the business. So no one's stuck doing the same thing forever.
It's a really interesting concept, and I've got a couple more questions around the people and the staffing structure. For maybe a topic that has been pretty relevant for the last couple of years in logistics, which has been finding staff, honestly, for finding good staff. Has that flexibility, I guess, enabled you maybe to overcome some of those challenges, or has it still been a challenge for you guys?
Well, the only challenge is making sure that we find people that fit the culture of our company. We're all about being open, diverse, and welcoming. So making sure that we find people that fit regardless of what the situation is, as long as they have the same values as we have in our business. So it hasn't been very challenging at all. When we've put our culture and our values at the forefront of our interviewing, we manage to find the best people.
Yeah, amazing. And look, on a personal note, that really resonates with what we try and do here as well. So I'm glad to hear that that's been, I guess, an enabler of your success as well. Now, you mentioned something in our pre-chat that really stuck with me, and you said that people often assume that because you work with people living with disabilities, that you might not be able to operate at the same rate or to the same standard as other operations. I'm interested, from your perspective, Sharon, how do you respond to that assumption, and what does Hone actually deliver for its clients to sort of overcome that?
So we're here to get rid of that assumption that people have. We prove it wrong time and time again, which is why we've been so successful since 1969. Vision Australia is one of the companies that partners with us, and they don't do that out of charity. They do that out of seeing the results that we provide every time. They partner with us because we deliver on time, we deliver accurately, and if anything goes wrong, which of course it sometimes does, like it does in any business, we're honest about it and we fix it fast. So that open communication, that reliability, that's what keeps major clients coming back to us. And the assumption that disability equals lower capability is obviously wrong. We've proven that time and time again. You just need to find the right way to get things done for each individual person based on their strengths and how they work best, which, if you think about it, is just good management.
Absolutely. I think you said that perfectly. And it is actually a callback to one of our previous episodes, the special guest. And, a theme that we've been talking about a lot, which is, especially with the likes of Amazon, fulfillment coming into our world and new challenges and new threats, often, the operators that are going to be the most successful are the ones that know what they do, focus on that customer relationship and quality, and know how to match their people to their strengths. So I agree. It's a common problem across any operation. And I love obviously the work that you guys are doing. From a pure operations standpoint, I think myself and a lot of the listeners would be interested to know, managing a workforce of 200 people across multiple sites, multiple states, multiple service lines that are already rotating around. That sounds complicated already. What does that look like when some of your team members have specific sport needs? And what have you learned about getting that right?
So, consistency and communication is everything, as it is in any workplace. A workplace thrives on structure and clarity, and knowing what they're doing today, knowing what is expected of them, knowing where to go if something changes. These things make us a better operator, and it forces us to also look at our processes, our workflows, and what good actually looks like for homes. So businesses that struggle, whether they are focused on disability or not, are often the ones where nobody really knows what the processes are. So we don't have that luxury, and clarity is not an option for us. And it turns out it delivers better results having that clarity and transparency across the board.
That's I really like that. Yeah, that is I guess it does force you to establish best practice, and like you said, good management. These are just standard business practices, but I guess that benchmark is fantastic, and if that enables it, I'm really impressed. Now, some of the clients that you've got, so we've got some large names, so Vision Australia, Medtronic. Those are some pretty serious organisations with serious logistics requirements. What do you think made them choose Hone, and what does the relationship actually look like on a day-to-day basis?
So they chose us based on our results and also based on, again, our culture. So on time delivery, accurate orders, and communication that means that they never have to wonder what's happening. So we keep it as transparent as possible. And I think what keeps them at the end of the day is the actual honesty itself. If we make an error, we take onus and we say so immediately. And we tell them what we're doing to fix those problems. We don't just present them with the problem. A lot of businesses try to manage bad news quietly, but we don't do that. And I think that builds a level of trust that's very hard to find between organizations. They know exactly what they're getting from us.
Absolutely. We all know in logistics, like you said at the start, that the things occasionally go off plan. And it's really what you do around those exceptions and how transparently and clearly you handle those that I think, yeah, builds that trust. So fantastic to hear that as well. Um, Digging a little bit deeper on the human and person side of your business, I love hearing you speak about the values that you sort of look for and how they sort of start right the way from employment the whole way through. What does meaningful employment actually mean for the people at home? And can you give me a sense of what it means for someone who works there?
So it means having somewhere to be or having somewhere to belong and having somewhere to contribute. So knowing that the work that you did today actually mattered and that it went out the door, landed somewhere, and someone actually used it is meaningful. A lot of our people come to us from situations where they may have been told implicitly or explicitly that they were not capable or they couldn't achieve anything. We show them the opposite, and you see it change people. The confidence that comes from doing a job well or from being a part of the team, from having colleagues, a routine and purpose, that's not something that you can put a dollar value on. And it is absolutely real and it drives results.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Sharon. Now, you are still operations manager, which means that at a logistics organization, you are not immune from all of the buzzwords around efficiency, throughput, cost to serve, surcharges, robotics, automation, all of the reality of running a logistics company. Now, running home gives you a different lens on what a good operation actually is. From your seat, what does that actually look like?
I think what you realize pretty quickly is that the perfect purpose of an operation like ours is to be bigger than the operation itself. So when you're purely focused on moving more, cutting costs, and optimizing, you can very quickly lose sight of what the work actually means in a company like ours. For us, the work is for the people who are actually doing it. So that does not mean we compromise on quality or speed. We absolutely do not. What it does mean is we think about how we can set people up to succeed and make sure that the processes in place are optimized for them. And honestly, I think that makes us better as people and as a business.
Amazing. And maybe like a slightly different spin on the operations question. What are the parts of running an operation like home that people don't really understand from the outside? Maybe, the hard stuff that doesn't make it on the brochure or the marketing material.
Funding and cost structures are genuinely quite complex. Running supported employment with the additional supported staff, the tailored workflows, and the flexibility that you need to have built in, all of these things cost more per unit than a standard operation. Explaining that to clients whilst also competing on quality and service is a constant balancing act. And there are days when the system does not make it easy. Government funding is inconsistent, advocacy takes a lot of energy, and you're always trying to do both things at the same time. Run a commercial business that has to perform whilst also advocating for our workers that deserve the opportunity. It's not always clean, but it is always worth it.
It's amazing. We have spent a lot of time, as everyone, has talking about and thinking about the fuel crisis, which for a lot of people is, an outlier of what they have to deal with. I can imagine from your perspective, that's just the latest, the latest little bit of uncertainty or adversity in a sea of challenges. So yeah, I'm sure that means that you navigated that way smoother than everyone else. So maybe the adversity sets you up better for those things. Now, one of the things I'm interested to dive in a little bit deeper on is Lumiere, the brand that you mentioned. As I said, it has been one of the most interesting things to watch over the last decade. The pathways that people end up either operating as third-party logistics services, or the businesses that can sometimes come out from those. However, I'll be honest, the candle and home fragrance business is a little bit of a different take on that, because that's not something that most 3PLs do. So maybe can you tell me, where did that come from, and what does it represent for home?
So Lumiere came from our people. It was a dream for our CEO to see something of this nature, so he made it happen. Our people have the capability, the dexterity, the patience that goes into making candles and home fragrances. And we thought, why not build a business around it? It gives our people ownership, and it also gives them, the luxury of doing something that they really enjoy and learn a skill that they really enjoy. They're not just processing someone else's products, they're actually making something under our own brand, and people buy it because they love it. I think it also changes how the community sees us, that we're not just a service provider, we're actually a manufacturer, a brand, an employer. Lumiere is proof that what our people can do goes well beyond just sorting, packing, 3PL, and point of sales.
Yeah, you've heard me say it a couple of times, Food, but I love the home story. I love this is the latest evolution, and I just love that can-do attitude and the willingness to get into something different. If you can see a pathway to adding value and empowering your staff, so yeah, it's a really special thing to hear about. Now, if I was a logistics business or a warehouse operator who was listening to this and thinking, hey, I actually would be interested in exploring something like what Hone does, whether that's employing people with disabilities or partnering with a social enterprise, what would you tell them about starting that journey?
Start with an open mind and leave the assumptions at the door. What our people can do with the right structure and the right support will always surprise you. And I would say to any business, partnering with a social enterprise is not charity. It's a commercial decision. You get reliability, you get commitment, you get people who genuinely want to be there and take great pride in their work. That's not something you can engineer through a KPI system. It's something you earn by creating an environment where people feel like they genuinely belong.
Incredible, Sharon. I genuinely mean it. You've just about said it all. But as we close out season one of This Week in Logistics, and thank you very much for joining me for the final episodes of the season, I keep coming back to this idea that the best logistics businesses are the ones that know why they do what they do. Now, you have mentioned a few times about the values and the why and the purpose of your organization. What about from your perspective? What keeps you coming into work every day?
This is the easiest answer of them all. It's the people. It's always the people. Watching someone do a job well and know that they did it well with a look of pride, it's something I don't think that I'll ever be able to take for granted. We're proving every day that disability is not a barrier to a great career. It's actually an opportunity. And the proof is in the pudding. You can see that every day in our workplace. we're not just there for our people, but also for the industry and the community around us to keep diversifying and showing people what we can actually do.
Amazing, Sharon, and congratulations to you and the whole team at home. It's a really special story, and I really appreciate you coming in and ending our season with that. So thank you very much for the time. And I think from a closing perspective, the thread that's run through every episode this season, that the best operators are the ones who are clear about what they stand for, who know their people, and who do not wait for the market to calm down before they get disciplined. Home really lives all of that, and they've been doing it since 1969, and I'm sure they're going to be doing it for another very long time into the future. So to everyone who's watched or listened this season, thank you very much. We'll be back for season 2, and we will see you all then.